This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. Many of us, when it comes to our health, look outside. We point to certain things, certain factors. Well, the reason I'm dealing with this is because of that. Probably not the case. When you start really looking deeper, our health is our responsibility. We're creating it. Our bodies can heal itself. But what's going on here? Salutogenesis. We're going to talk about that today. What does that term mean? It's going to mean a lot once we get deeper definition into that and how that leads to holistic healing, how it leads to nothing wrong with Western medicine, but you don't necessarily need to take a pill to heal or feel better. And this is all within her wheelhouse, which includes herbals, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and so much more. And she makes me think. I leave here, I'm driving my car, I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. Connecting all the dots with everything. Alethea Jones is back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Am I saying that right? Salutogenesis?
I believe so. That's how I pronounce it, but we may both be corrected by somebody else, but I think so.
Tomato, whatever it is, it's impactful. What exactly is it?
So salutogenesis is a term that was phrased by Dr. Aaron Antonovsky, who's a medical sociologist back in the 1970s. And essentially what it means is it means genesis, which is the origin, and saluto, which is health. So it's essentially the study of health origin. And how Dr. Antonovsky got to this word and description is that he was looking at how stress was affecting people and how social factors influenced health as a medical sociologist, looking at how the external world, our stressors, our daily lives, the pressures of our daily lives, and also just the general breakdown that comes with aging, with getting sick, with all of these processes. And so what he did is he thought about it in a way more of, rather than looking at how disease affects us, looking at, well, how does our health affect us and how can we build our health? So rather than eradicating a disease, eradicating a cold, eradicating a flu, eradicating a virus, how can I look at what's healthy in the system and build that up and support that?
It's interesting that this concept goes back, I want to say 50 something years ish. And, look at things like stress. Back in the day, they were really talking about stress. Eventually, that term stress kills came up. I think that was maybe in the later 80s where that started to be a little bit of a focus. I don't want to minimize anything, but I'd like to look at our lives now compared to in the 70s when salutogenesis came about. A little more stress going on now. That's just my personal opinion. But that's just one factor. Now take a look at the other factors, environmental, all of that, which is impacting and degrading our health. But we don't look at it that way. Well, we're always looking to blame something. And I don't want to blame us, ourselves, because a lot of things we deal with, we have no choice. Well, we do have a choice. We can't change things, but we have a choice in how we react to it, which inherently changes our health, I guess, sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way that we respond to stressors and tension in our life is going to have a deep impact on our nervous system, our immune system, and how it is that we're operating within the function of the parameters that we're within. So our societal parameters, our job, our bills, our responsibilities, our schedules, things like that. And you mentioned the 80s in regards to being when people started having awareness to stress. I have a feeling that Dr. Antonovsky had a large part to do with that. And the reason being is that he first published a book called Health, Stress, and Coping in 1979. And it was largely dismissed because it's dealing with health regarding stress and coping, not a factor that people are really thinking about at that point. And then in 1987, he produced another book, a follow-up to that, called Unraveling the Mysteries of Health. And in Unraveling the Mysteries of Health, he delves deeper into how this salutogenesis, how this process of how we support ourselves through these stressful times really plays a huge factor in our health. And he even notates like that the origin of health is found in our sense of coherence. And coherence is essentially this quality of being logical and consistent and producing a unifying whole. So when we go through, the way that I interpret that is when we go through a processes in our life with consistency. So if we are stressed out consistently, it's going to impact our life in a stressful manner. If we hold tension in our body consistently, we're going to hold tension in our life in the same manner. But if we're moving through and we consistently have something like a good food habit, a good sleeping habit, an herbal routine, a body movement, yoga, qigong, tai chi, it could even be just going to the gym and lifting weights on a regular basis. If we have consistency with actions that reduce the stress and the tension in our body, then within the guidelines of salutogenesis, you're supporting your health to give you better coherence, to create a more unified situation to nurture that health over a longer period of time.
Using that concept, would you say that, let's say going to the gym, okay, we know we should be going. We know it's not just about losing weight. It's not just about toning up. It's about fitness. But do you think it's also just showing up? And let's say you're not, like pound weights or do, crazy stuff at the gym, but just showing up psychologically can send a message to your brain that I am taking care of myself. This is positivity. This is a good thing. My point here is, they say the only bad workout is the one that didn't take place. Just showing up is impactful. And I'm not just saying, well, go to the gym and just walk around a little bit and then just leave. No, you want to get something accomplished, but there's more going on here than what we really think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just showing up is a step and an effort in its own right.
Yeah.
And people just showing up, let's say you just show up to clean your house. Well, you might have hours and hours and hours of showing up to clean your house. And just in that step of just showing up, maybe you create a plan,
Yep.
or maybe you realize what the realm of possibility is, or other than cleaning your house, more related to health. Let's say you're given a nutrition program from somebody to help you in whatever way you're looking for. And let's say this nutrition program is quite in depth. Just the step of reading the nutrition program and understanding
Yep.
there are multiple components to this, I need to take more time with it, gives you that showing up. And you are taking one of the steps toward the end goal, which is to get the house clean or to clean up the diet or to create the exercise routine and program. So yeah, just showing up is huge. And I'm not a psychologist, but I would imagine that just showing up gives us a little bit of a dopamine hit, a little bit of a serotonin hit, a little
Yep.
bit of a, oh my God, I did it. I
Yeah.
made it to the gym at the time that I said I was going to make it. Yeah.
Yep. That's where I was going with that. And then that can lead to progression. So the next day you just show up. I don't want to say you just show up. The next time you show up, maybe you might do 10 minutes on the treadmill. Maybe the next day or 2 days after that, maybe about 15, 20 minutes, whatever it might be. But you're moving in a positive direction as opposed to saying, I'm not going to go, I can't do that, which is just negative and sending you in a negative direction, essentially.
Exactly. And when you're doing these little steps, you're again supporting that underlying process of health. You're working with what you have available to you.
Hmm.
Somebody could be completely bedridden and say, I want to get up and be active again. They have to start with wiggling their toes, moving their ankles, dealing with the fact that maybe they have swelling in their lower body to get to the end goal, rather than this whole, I need to get rid of the swelling, I need to get rid of the pain. And yes, there is that too. I understand the process of, I need to alleviate pain to create movement in my body.
Hmm.
But what if you can switch that and say, I'm going to move my body in a way that helps me alleviate pain? That is the difference of perspective when you're talking salutogenesis. And I think that's why this concept has largely been overlooked in the major medical community, because it's not, it's a practice of self-reliance and self-responsibility and looking at, what do I have available to me? We live in a consumeristic society. We've talked about this. Consumerism doesn't ask you, what do you have available? They ask you, what do you need?
Mm.
So we've largely developed these structures that promote us to look outside of ourselves. But this process of creating the origin of your health comes from within. And yes, that absolutely is a mind over matter, and it's a little tiny step, a little bit as you go. And at some point, if you keep that thread of perspective, you start nurturing your entire ecosystem. You become the steward of your health. You become the steward of your own world. And that's beautiful. That's very empowering and a bright, shiny silver lining perspective, I think.
Because you're in control. Now you're, it's,
Yeah.
and I would imagine when you change the mindset, now you're relying less on blaming the outside factors for your situation, not minimizing anything here at all, but just looking at it in a maybe a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you take that responsibility, the conversations that we have with our practitioners, whether they uh, are a psychologist or a therapist or even recovery after a surgery or whatever the thing is that's going on with you in your health world, how you manage your stress, how you manage your pain, how you manage your decisions is going to impact the process of healing. We have an amazing system of fixing the broken pieces. We have an amazing system of taking something that is, and when I say amazing system, I mean Western medicine fixes the broken pieces. It puts us back together when we need to be put back together. It brings us back into a place where the symptoms are reduced. But that's not health. I have a feeling there's a lot of people in this world who look at their own health, and while they think they're healthy because their blood panels and their metabolic panels come back completely normal, they still say, but I don't feel good. I
Mm.
don't know why I don't feel good. And in all honesty, being an acupuncturist and working with TCM, these are the people that I see quite a bit. People who are saying, Western doctors have told me that everything's fine. The scans are fine, the the biopsy is fine, the blood panel's fine, but I just don't feel good. And in that regard, I try to pull in, well, what is working for you and what is not working for you? Where can we enhance what is working for you? Because once you enhance what they're good at, what their strength is, then they start feeling better.
It's very deflating to even think that we could be in good health and say, I don't feel good. I'm just I don't feel right. Um, and it's is it the mindset? Is that where it comes down to the way we're thinking?
I mean, yes, I do believe in mind over matter, but people legitimately have very real physical pain that nobody else can experience but them.
But if you're in decent health, where would the pain be coming from?
If you're in decent health and you're having pain, there's a few things. Maybe your health is not as optimal as it could be.
Okay.
Maybe you're in decent health, but and again, these are perspective things. What is decent health? right? Somebody might be the healthiest they've ever been, but that person may have grown up obese and inactive their entire life, and now they're to a weight that they like and they're active, but they might still have something that feels off. And that could be a function of the digestive system. It could be a function of brain chemistry. There are so many different layers. But when you go through the layer, the basic overarching layer of I'm a steward of my health. These are the decisions that I'm making for my health. Because if you're not feeling how you want to feel,
Mm.
then there are some steps to take. And that's an individual situation. That's the beautiful thing about us as humans is that we are all so authentically ourselves, whether we realize it or not. We are we are very hard to bundle and blanket into a category without having outliers in some way or another to those categories. So it's a very individualized situation. And that's what I love about acupuncture and Eastern medicine and the way that this more holistic approach looks at it is because it looks at the individual and it says again, like, where are your strengths? What can you do to help amplify the direction that you want to go? And sometimes that's a matter of, yes, stop eating sugar, reduce your caloric intake, or maybe increase your caloric intake, or maybe reduce the inflammation in X, Y, and Z ways. But it really is an internal process. And once we get in rhythm with our internal process, like we were talking about in our last podcast, once we get the situation of movement and fluidity in our body, the way that we spoke about with chi and energy flow, and once we nurture ourselves in the way that we want to be nurtured, all of these things bring us into a closer alignment with who we are and how we feel our best. And that's what I love about the medicine that I practice. And that's what I love about this thought of salutogenesis is it brings us back to center. The bigger picture here too is that salutogenesis, this whole overarching perspective, invites us to look bigger because now we're taking actually a more self-empowered approach. We're looking within and we can see the way that we are able to truly create our own health, not just fixing what's wrong, but cultivating what's strong. And we can put that and apply it to other areas of our life as well, including the world that we live in, the communities that we live in, our relationships. So this is just something that is very
Mm.
microcosm to macrocosm.
It almost, I get the visual of, let's say you're in the ocean and you're being pulled this way, the current, a little bit this way. You're navigating, you're getting to where you need to go or want to go. It's taking a little bit longer, but you're kind of doing your thing. When you harness the power of salutogenesis, you realize that ultimately, in many, many ways, you're responsible for your health. Now you're swimming in a direction. Forget the current. Those are the outside factors. You're in control of it. You know where you want to go. How do you mention authentic? And you said that many of us are authentic in many regards. How do you know if you're really being you, authentically you?
That is an interesting
That's a
question.
deep one. I got
My
you.
my first thought to that entire kind of lead up to the authentic, and I think this blends in with it, is that if you're authentically doing what you need to do for your health, and that's mental well-being, emotional well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being, and let's just throw financial well-being in there too, because that's a big part of our well-being these days.
It's all part of when we talked previously about balance. You got to have balance
You
in your life.
have to have balance, and all of these things are major factors to how we feel. And if you are in this ocean with these currents, which is a great metaphor for life, life
Mm,
pulls us in many different directions and it can crash waves over us and it can be really drowning feeling.
yeah.
And on other occasions, it can feel very light and buoyant and effervescent. But if you're in this situation where you're swimming toward your goal, whatever that goal to well-being, to health, to balance is, you have to know when to pause. You have to know when to go with the flow, relax into it, surrender. That's because you don't have, as humans, we don't have the energy to just keep pushing, 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 swimming, 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 swimming. We have got to take a break, or we're going to use all of our energy at one current, at one, wave, and then we're going to be exhausted after.
And what's going to
If
happen?
it's going to
You're
crash
gonna you're
us.
gonna drown.
Yeah.
You're
We're going
gonna
to
go under.
crash. Yeah, we're going to go
Yeah.
down. I mean, then it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm going down and now I have to figure out how to bring myself up again.
Yeah.
But I think when you're authentically living your best life, you're in a place where you're saying, this is a good time to push. I'm going to push really hard. And these are the things I'm going to push at because it motivates me, it drives me. I'm doing it from a place of love. And from my perspective, I'm doing it from a place where it's my greatest good serving the greater good of all. So I'm going to push for those things. And
Mm.
within all of that, when I need to take a break, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to unabashedly take a break. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to look out the window. I'm going to stare at the trees and the leaves with the wind blowing through it. I'm going to cancel my appointments. I'm going to close my schedule. That's usually the way that I do it. Close my schedule down a little bit. I'm going to go for a hike. I'm going to go do something that I need to do to replenish my cup because I cannot just go, 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 swim, 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 fight the current all the time. I've got to work with the current. And that plugs back into our conversation of seasonality, even
Mm.
day and night. The way that the world that we live in is constructed is there are moments of high activity and there are moments of lower activity, of relaxation, of going within, of taking that moment. So when we have this moment of understanding how to nurture ourselves inside what we need, we're able to really work with the rhythms and the flows of everything happening around us. I think
Mm.
that's a very authentic way of being.
Would you say, and we're just about out of time, that when you're authentic, you're gonna know, you're gonna feel in touch with yourself, with your goals, things around you. It's going to feel right. Whereby many times we describe, things are okay, but things feel a little bit off here. It's going to, like you said, you're going to have that propulsion where it's like I'm in my zone. I'm authentic. I feel like moving forward very fast. Do you think it's going to be that way where you just feel like that's where I should be?
I absolutely have felt like this is where I should be. And I have absolutely felt terrified about where I am going, knowing
Mhm.
that this is where I should be.
Yep.
I feel like as humans, we are susceptible to all the feels. And here's the thing, if you're getting all the feels, you're doing it. If you're scared
Mm.
of the fact that you felt great one day and you didn't feel great the next day, you're doing it because maybe you just had the hardest workout that you've done ever, and now you need a rest and relaxation day. So if you're
Mm.
getting all the feels, that is part of being a human. Now it's a matter of getting all the feels and managing and navigating them so that they're not frazzling you. They're not pulling you outside of yourself, but instead they're having you look at who am I in this emotion? Who am I in this moment? Who am I in this action? How do I feel? Does this feel right? Does this not feel right? And then kind of
Mm.
going through and moving with it. So, yes, there's that euphoric, things are in rhythm, things are in alignment. But at some point, there's going to be, what am I doing? And there's that moment and opportunity to go within, to recalibrate, and then to move forward again.
The questioning, I believe, is key. And you said it, and it came even clearer for me. When you're at the point where you're questioning, how am I feeling about this? You're checking in with yourself. You being more yourself. It's almost having a friend that, your best friend. Your best friend. You're very connected with them. You're in sync. It's almost as if you're your own best friend, where you're checking in and you're really truly connecting. Hey, life isn't always easy, but you feel like you're more connected with yourself when you're more authentic. Great conversation today.
Yeah.
How do we find you? How do we connect with you?
Well, you can trust, and that's one of the things that you're talking about is trusting,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Trusting yourself. So if you want to find me, trust yourself. Go on to Google Maps. I think I'm on Yahoo also, but Google's the most up to date, and it's Alethea Healing Acupuncture in Murray, Utah.
Awesome. Thank you for today. Thank you for some insight, new insight, but also validation on things that many of us have heard for a long time. Didn't really put the pieces together, but now they're coming together, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure to have these conversations with you.
Likewise. And we'll catch up next time. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.